All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite cars, and it's pretty much a relic of the past. You hear all the time that reviewers and everybody else talks about, you know, this car's outdated, it's too old, it's got these laggy screens. But when I get back in this car, I feel like I'm back in the good old times. Back when cars were actually built to be driven. When you had the classic gauges, the excellent throttle response, none of that eco nonsense that most modern cars have where, oh, like you can't emit too much, you know, too many emissions, etc., etc. This car is made for the driving experience. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a 2021 Infiniti Q50 Red Sport on our channel. I want to thank Mario at Sheehy Nissan of Manassas for letting me drive this car and film it today for you guys. I will put all his information in the description below, so please reach out to him if you're on the market for a car. And let's get started. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite cars, and it's pretty much a relic of the past. You hear all the time that reviewers and everybody else talks about, you know, this car's outdated, it's too old, it's got these laggy screens. But when I get back in this car, I feel like I'm back in the good old times. Back when cars were actually built to be driven. When you had the classic gauges, the excellent throttle response, none of that eco nonsense that most modern cars have where, oh, like you can't emit too much, you know, too many emissions, etc., etc. This car is made for the driving experience. So as always, today we're gonna do our classical quiet road test. We're gonna do some 0 to 60 with Dragy, see how quick she is, and as always I'm gonna share my experiences with you at the very end. I'm 6'2". I got lots of space in the back, so there should be no issue fitting in passengers here. Cup holders. The materials are great everywhere, soft, quilted, high quality, and I love the carbon fiber touches here too. If you had to ask me what car does this Infiniti remind you of when you're driving, I would definitely say the closest that this car gets to is the Kia Stinger GT. That is the closest car that I can think of that resembles this car in driving dynamics. All right, I'm so excited to get started. Let's do this. So the infotainment here is actually very easy and straightforward to use. You have the audio, you have the menu, and you have the climate. So you can adjust everything. You got your Apple CarPlay, dual zone climate. And one thing I have to say, I really praise that up till today Infiniti still uses the real buttons here everywhere. There's none of this, you know, touch screen climate control sensory stuff where you gotta press the screen to get to the climate settings. You have the classical non-distracting gauges, push start stop. You also have the dial here that you can use for your map, your camera as well. We have a 360. where we can change the view, which I think is super neat. We have our black headliner, sunroof. Alrighty. And let's get started. So we're gonna drive. I'm gonna share my impressions with you at the very end. So now you can just enjoy the real driving experience in this beautiful Q50. I will say right off the bat, I love the throttle response. It's so playful. It's not dumbed down like the majority of modern cars of this segment where you press the gas in comfort. It's like, ooh, 2000 RPM, we finally got to it, and then it downshifts 2 more times to like the 7th gear at 40 miles an hour. And to get it going, you have to really press that accelerator. But here, nah, it's perfect. It's perfectly geared. All right, so now we're gonna test the accuracy of the speedometer of this Infiniti. See how accurately it shows versus the GPS speed. Oh, I love the pull on this car. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right, so it's 65. We are seeing 63, no, 64 actually. So just 1 mile per hour off. Wow. Alrighty. $72, we are seeing 71. So at 75, we see 74. Very impressive. So only 1 mile per off at 70 miles per hour. That's a very accurate speedometer. And when she's in the right gear, she just rockets out. So when she's like at 3.5, the transmission does think a little bit in comfort, but that's absolutely normal. It's not the sportiest setting. There, 4,500. That's it. It's just rocketing away. Very impressive. Like it kicks you in the seat. Super excited for the 0 to 60 tests. See how she does on that. I think we'll get some good numbers. And the pedal here feels so nice and thick. Like it's thick, it's sturdy. You feel exactly how much you're giving the throttle. And I just love the feel of it. It's perfect. And it does have very good response to input. So you give it a little bit of gas like this, it's in the right gear. It understands my input well. Because sometimes nowadays, especially like I said, with all the eco requirements, when you're driving these sporty cars in their comfort settings, and you give them some gas, they don't want to downshift, they want to stay in the lower gears. And as much as people can complain that this is a slow transmission, as the old 7-speed, it's actually quite a fast and potent transmission. It goes through gears quickly with ease. And can you imagine that this transmission has been on the market in Europe since 2008 on the FX? And then it came to the G37. It was a big upgrade from the 5-speed automatic that Infiniti used. Until today, this transmission is super good. The only thing that it does lack is launch control, but that is not a big issue because 99.9% of your driving, even off stoplights, is not going to be with launch control engaged. And who cares that a car can do a second quicker with launch control? It's just for brag rights. It has no real appliance, you know, there's no real application, I meant to say, into daily driving. What you want in daily driving is when you mash that pedal, you're off and you're going. All right, here comes our Mexico strip. So let's put her in Sport Plus. So the first run I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mash the gas. No boost, no braking, nothing. Just mash it and let's go. In my practice, that does actually yield pretty much the same time as boosting these cars, but we'll still give it a shot. We'll see what it does. Also, there's no auto start stop here, so it doesn't shut off its engine when you're standing. And you know, there's no regenerative braking, nothing. So it's just the pure raw driving experience that cars once gave us, but now every single car that you take is either going to be electric, you know, hybrid, which is absolutely fine. I think hybrids are amazing, but these eco norms have really dumbed down a lot of performance cars. All right, so let's do it. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. really good power. Woo, really good power. All right, so we did 4.89 seconds valid on our first attempt. And we did 8.47, 1/8 mile at 85.93. Good numbers, good numbers. I love how playful this engine is, like how well it's paired up. It just gives you that joyful woo. Let's go. All right, now we're gonna do try number 2. We are going to do some boost and see if that helps us decrease the time a bit. This is the sportiest setting right now, so Sport Plus is really the sportiest you can go in this car. So let's turn off the AC completely so we don't get robbed on the power, and we will boost a little bit. All right, let's go. That was a good start. That was a good start. So we did 4.78 seconds, again completely valid, and 1/8 mile at 8:45 at 86.3. So basically, if you look at it this way, you're gonna get the same exact times if you use boost or you don't use boost. It's the same exact thing, there's no difference. So in my perspective, I would just press the gas and just let it do its work, let it do its own thing. But if I was to put this in perspective of other cars, I would say that this car drives in standard mode like some other competitors drive in Sport or Sport Plus. And this is very similar to the Kia Stinger GT in terms of the the driving feel, the acceleration, and they're virtually identical on the acceleration. You'd get similar figures in the Stinger. I'd say about like 4.8, 4.9 seconds. That's just my impression. The steering feel here is good for daily driving, but it's not, overly sporty by any means. There's not as much feedback as I would want in these tight corners from an athletic sports car. And of course, launch control again would probably shave off a good half a second here if we were talking about that. The brakes are solid. I haven't noticed any fade so far. We also have the paddles here if we want to shift by ourselves. All right, so let's try some light cornering here. I still do feel like the handling here is very secure. And I love the torque, the instant torque that I get at 3.5, 4,000. It comes on really quickly. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Boom. At 4,500, that's a sweet spot. So, to wrap up the test drive, I think this is a solid contender to this day in this class of cars on the market. Gives you a lot of joy, a lot of power, good throttle response. The infotainment is actually really good to use. I've had no problem using it. Super simple, super straightforward. Anything that I wanted to get done, it gets done fine. The steering wheel is comfortable, perfectly sized, not too thin, not too thick. Gauges are easy and crystal clear to read. The handling is not as athletic as it could get. The M340i, for example, does handle much more athletically, and it has much sharper, direct steering response. And the brakes there, of course, are more grippy, more instant, So in that factor, yes, the M340i is definitely a more athletic drive. Now, comparing this to the Stinger GT, I would say they're very similar. This is shorter, and it does feel a little bit more nimble in the curves than the Stinger GT. But this is the closest car that I can imagine to the G70 and the Stinger. They feel, if you were to just close the badge and or just have me try and guess the car that I'm driving by my feelings, I would say that it's either this or the Kia Stinger GT. They feel really similar. And this car is also geared in such a way that the throttle mapping and the gearing is set to be in standard about the same as it is in Sport Plus. Like there's virtually no difference that I feel using Sport Plus or standard. To me, it all feels like sport mode. It's geared so aggressively in comfort. So to get that comfort feeling, I'd have to go into Eco. That'd be my guess. Yeah, I would have to go into Eco. Yeah, there, now the pedal fights a bit, and that's the response you get from your traditional car in this class from comfort mode. So standard is more aggressive. And that's good. If you like that kind of driving style, then that is actually a cool thing. Besides that, the interior is built nicely, soft touch materials everywhere. So anywhere you touch, the materials are of great quality. They're very lovely. So yeah, no complaints. I think it's a solid car. If you're looking to spend under 60 grand and you want to get all the good features, the Bose audio system, blind spot, navigation, this is quite a great choice to consider, given that the Stinger is being axed for 2024. And this car does make you feel like you're back in like 2010 or 2012. It gives you that old school feeling, which again, that's a great feeling to have. It's not a bad feeling, because everybody's chasing, Tesla screens nowadays. But if you like old school, then this may be the exact car you may want to get. And I don't know, it just has such good pull off the roll. Like you give it gas and you just feel it pull. Maybe it was meant to give you that additional feeling of sportiness. Because in some cars, you give them gas, they're actually really fast by the numbers, but you don't feel it. You feel really calm and just, it's refined. This gives you more of that connected, aggressive feeling. Anyways, that is it for today. I hope you all, ladies and gentlemen, enjoyed this test drive. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and till next time.